Look Cinema, the podcast.
Hello friends, my name is Zo. It's spelled Z-O or Z to the O for those of you outside of the U.S. Thank you for joining me once again for Look Cinema, the podcast, where we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear, especially the movies of the latter half of the last millennium. If you like what you're about to hear, tell your family, tell your friends, and if you're listening on YouTube, please like or subscribe. So I want to get right into it. This is bonus episode number 35, where we talk about the movie They Will Kill You. This is going to be a spoiler-free review where I give you my impressions of the movie. I got a chance to see it yesterday before I recorded this. This is a week after the movie actually came out in theaters, and I didn't get a chance to see it when it premiered, obviously, but I got a chance to see it now. I wanted to see it ever since I saw the trailer. The trailer was just fascinating, and when I saw it, I was like, well, obviously I gotta watch this movie. So when I got a chance to see it, I rushed out to see it, and my time is like limited. So when I went to the theater, I was really tired by the time the film had started. Like, this is like after work, and my work is like, I have extended work hours. So sometimes I'm working 10 or maybe 12 hours a day, and my circadian rhythm was set up where by the time I got to the theater, I should have been sleeping. I should have been, but I was staying up late, even though I was at the theater at like 4 o'clock. No, about 4:30 I got to the theater. The movie started at 4:40, and well, the trailers were playing at 4:40. I think the movie probably started at like 10 minutes after 5 or something like that. It was even though this film had been out for a week, they're still showing a full 30 minutes of trailers. So by the time the movie actually started, I was dead tired. Like I had worked a full day of work, and I was essentially struggling to stay awake. But this movie was good enough to keep me awake. So that's one thing. So I'm reviewing this lens through the lens of being somebody who was tired after work. And I got to say that even though I was tired and there were some distractions that I had to deal with, I still had a fun time at the theaters. This movie was fun. It was campy, and it had some over-the-top violence, just like it was promised in the trailers. So, and on that front, I was not disappointed. This movie was starring Zazie Beetz, Patricia Arquette, Myha'la. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. This is a new actor that, or at least it's not an actor that I've seen before. And many of these actors I hadn't really seen before, but she seems like a particularly new actor. You also had Peterson Joseph and Tom Felton and Heather Graham and many more delightful actors. It was directed by Kirill Sokolov. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm going to get a lot of names wrong, and I apologize. And also the writers are Alex Litvak and Kirill Sokolov. So they definitely wanted to have fun making this film. It is a combo of anime or even has a type of violence like old kung fu movies. It has this new age vintage B-movie grindhouse style that's a trademark of Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez their films, especially Kill Bill. I think of all the movies that this reminds me of, it definitely has Kill Bill vibes. The overall style matches Kill Bill, the needle drops, the music that was chosen, especially the music for the needle drops. And overall, the fantastic fight sequences. The fight choreography was outstanding. And it was like, and the camera movements that surrounded the fights, like sometimes you see that the camera is just like doing a 360 around the fight while the fight is happening. It's kind of reminiscent of The Matrix, but in a way where it looks natural and where it doesn't look like it's artificially enhanced. And I gotta say, admittedly, there is some overacting, but that's because this film demanded it. Like, this film doesn't really take itself seriously. It knows it's trying to entertain its audience. So it's almost like a type of bravado overacting, but it's not happening all the time. It only happens at certain points. So that was fun. It's fun that I can detect when somebody's overacting, because I'm not a great judge of when acting is good or when acting is bad, or when somebody's doing something on purpose. I'm not a great judge of that. And some people, it might turn off because some people demand that actors, that they're always seriously acting, or that they're always like being earnest in their acting, or that they always feel real. But this movie is a cartoon. And so, I know that I love that this movie knows what it is, and that it's not really taking itself too serious. And I think the cast did a wonderful job with the acting, and where they poured it on a little too thick when it was required. I thought the story was smart. I'm not going to tell you anything about the story. When I talked about the actors, I didn't even tell you what the parts they played, because I think that all necessarily needs to be experienced in the theater. I can only tell you what was happening from what you saw in the trailer. So there's a woman who's played by Zazie Beetz, and she desperately needs a job. She goes to this mysterious hotel in the pouring rain, and they basically hire her right off the street, with very little references. And after they hire her, they basically try to kill her. They're in the trailer. You see them in the hotel, and she's fighting, it seems like, the entire hotel staff. We don't know why she's there. We don't know why she's prepared to fight. Like, when they tried to kill her, she is prepared with a large, it's like a short sword. It's kind of like a machete, but I'm not exactly sure what kind of sword that is that she's wielding. I don't think I've ever seen that sword before. And she also has a shotgun. Like, she's ready for a fight, and she knows how to fight. She knows how to improvise with her implements, with her, and she knows how to use her environment to fight. And you see this in most of the trailer. And so I'm not spoiling anything by telling you this. So this woman, she gets hired by the hotel. Then she has to fight for her life. She realizes, or she finds out that she, that she's meant to be sacrificed. So, because the hotel is kind of a temple to the devil, and the people all the people who work in the hotel are devil worshippers, and they need to sacrifice her for some ceremony. And that's the only reason they brought her in. So that is basically the plot. And at least from the trailer perspective, obviously when you go to the theater, there's a lot more layers to the story. But I actually enjoyed the story. They had some twists in the story. About halfway through, you'll probably be able to figure out or predict what the outcome is. But even though you might be able to figure out like the final outcome, there's still a lot of, twists, and they still are able to maintain some surprises as you watch the film. And another thing is that this film is zany in the same way Cocaine Bear was zany, but it doesn't drag the same way Cocaine Bear drags. And that was the thing about Cocaine Bear. Like, I really liked that movie, but there were some points of it where it dragged, because I felt like the they lost the plot of that story. Like they were starting to run out of gas. They didn't know where they wanted to go. And you could feel that as you was watching Cocaine Bear, but that never happens in this movie. Like this movie, They Will Kill Us. They know what they are. They know the story that they're trying to tell, and they tell a complete story. And I fully enjoyed that. It felt like they knew what they were doing. And it's a goofy story, but I liked it. It felt so complete, and it felt like it made sense. And it felt like the people who created it knew what they were crafting. And I just had a delightful time in the movie theater. I can't tell you how much fun that this movie was for me, in spite of how tired I was. So overall, my verdict is that it was a fun time at the theater. And if you are the type of person that enjoys an unserious movie, unserious entertainment, then I think that you'll have a blast watching this movie, watching the fight scenes, the blood splatter, the campiness of it. And the thing is that I'm not somebody who often enjoys campy. Like sometimes something could be too campy, and I can't stand that. But this movie was just campy enough, or it was campy in a way that I was fully engaged with it. So this is something I would probably watch multiple times. It's not even a long movie. It's about an hour, 25 minutes. If you got a little bit of time in your hands, and if the gas prices aren't too high, then I fully endorse this movie. I hope it does well in the theaters. So, that's it. That's, my take. That's my thoughts on the movie. And I highly recommend it. And the next time you hear this voice, it should be a regular episode. So have a delightful day.